Hi, this is Stacia, and I wanted to share a standard game that I played on chess.com. Um, it was a 1510 standard game, and I was rated 1543, and my opponent, borisk58, was rated 1499. So here we had a Queen's Gambit accepted. Oops. And pretty crazy game. I go pawn hunting, which is always a risky thing to do. And so it results in a lot of dynamic play. But I'm happy to say that I'm happy with the way I played this game. And yeah, let's have a look and navigate the craziness. Okay, so here my opponent played d takes c4. This is the Queen's Gambit accepted. And I just learned something about this opening. Until recently, I would play e3 here. And this is a nice way to play, especially if you're playing blitz or lower rated players, because sometimes they'll play b5. You can go into this common trap line. Queen f3, which wins material. The best move here is knight takes, or knight blocks, but then queen takes knight, and you're just up a piece. So this is a pleasant game for white, obviously, right? But there's a problem with this move order. So, okay, when black takes here and we play e3, black has this move e5, and we can't really take it because then black will take the queen with check, and that's not going to be good for us. So the best way to play this is bishop takes c4. And this is theory, by the way. It's still theory. But now black simply takes here. And the book move here is e takes d4. But now we're in a game where we have an isolated queen pawn. And if you like this kind of position, it's totally fine to play. But it's not for me. I like those slightly better endgames and keeping my structure together and all that. And I don't know that I'm skilled at dynamic play enough to take this on. So for that reason, there's a slight nuance. So d4, d5, c4, d takes c4. All right, so instead of e3 here, the grandmasters play knight f3 here, and now I am as well. And now I know why, because they don't want to see e5. So this covers the e5 square, and we're delaying the recapture of this pawn for the moment. Probably b5 is still not good. Yeah, and in fact it's not. We can still play a4. And this is gonna still be better for white if this occurs, although I intend to look at that closer. But typically they'll just come to knight f6. And after this, and this is what happened in the game, then you play e3 to uncover the attack and recapture your pawn. So pretty interesting. In this position, my opponent played bishop f5. Okay, so a natural enough move. He wants to play e6, but get his bishop outside the pawn chain. This is not a book move, however, and I think the reason for that is a lot of times white can play to get an early e4 with tempo. But let's continue. All right, so I took the pawn, and now e6. Nice developing move. He's gonna he's opening up his bishop. I played knight c3 here, and now bishop b4, which I did expect. Here I'm totally cool with just castling. If he wants to give up his bishop pair, I have no problem with that. Computer says queen a4 check is strong, and gives a funny line. Queen a4 check, knight c6, knight e5, just piling on this knight, I guess. And after something like this, yeah, this is what the computer gives. Crazy, right? Yeah, and I think after all that, the main point is that we have pressure on c6 and we're going to get e4 with tempo. So you can play that way. I like things a little simpler. I just castled here. And my opponent played knight bd7. And here I found an accurate move. And to me, it's only too natural. When I see a bishop on f5 and e6 has been played, this bishop is now shut away from the queen side. So a lot of times queen b3 is a strong move. And in this case, we have a bishop on b4. So queen b3 attacks this bishop and x-rays the pawn. Now I played this not knowing if I was actually going to take this. This can be very risky, and you have to evaluate it. But my opponent went back to d6. And now it's decision time. Can you take the pawn? And I'm going to ask you to decide if you would take this pawn in a tournament game. Well, after looking at this, I decided to take it. I felt that my main concern here would be rook b8. But rook b8 would hit my b2 pawn, which is actually covered by the bishop. Not only that, but the a pawn would still be hanging. So in the case of rook b8, I thought I'd win 2 pawns. And I didn't see how my queen would get completely trapped or anything. I like that this square is covered, because that seems like the bishop could come here or the knight could come there. But so I thought I was okay. So I grabbed this pawn. Okay, and my opponent responds with knight b6. I think if I was black here, and I expected this, I would just castle. And sure enough, this is the top move. And just say, yeah, you have a pawn, but I'm going to develop all my pieces and maybe win it back. So, okay. But my opponent did choose this. Knight b6. All right, not a bad move. I thought this is actually okay. So he's hitting the bishop, and I think this also threatens this on the next move. So I felt I had to do something active here, and sure enough, I spotted this check. All right, so bishop b5 check. He can't really push his pawn because I would just take it with check. So I thought this is a little uncomfortable for him. So he does have to bring his knight back around. And now I have some tempo moves to consider. So e4 hits the bishop. He came here. Now he is threatening to double my pawns. Yeah, and here's where the computer was giving some accurate moves. In the game, I played bishop e2, just defending against that threat. But the computer says stronger is e5, which is a tempo move, and bishop g4, which is also a tempo move. So yeah, I think that's a good lesson, just to look for these types of moves in a game. Now this is a 15-minute game, so I'm not going to spend too much time looking for the perfect continuation. I'm going to play stuff. If I find something decent, I'll probably just play it, and save for that matter. So okay, but e5 and bishop g4 or bishop g5 are the top moves here, as well as knight e5, which also looks interesting. But I played bishop e2 as mentioned. So it feels funny to check and then pull back and all that, but I felt my position was pretty good here. I have the pawn duo, and if I get my queen out of there, I should be looking good with an extra pawn. All right, so my opponent castles. And now I like this move, bishop g5. So attacking the queen and hoping that my opponent will play f6, which is a weakening move. And then the f6 pawn would be pinned. All right, so he does play it. I actually thought the best move here would be bishop e7, which is correct. So he played this. And now, where should we put the bishop? I didn't think e3 looked correct, and d2 doesn't look right at all. So why not just maintain the pin? Yeah, computer says after bishop h4, my pawn advantage is gone. And it gives some pretty crazy lines from here. So if you want to pause your video and figure out why bishop h4 is a mistake, then do so now and then I'll share. Yeah, the reason is actually really crazy. I did not see this at all, but the idea is black's going to play the move e5, which does two things, as far as I can tell. It's going to free up the b5 square for possibly the knight, and it's also going to make way for the bishop to come to c8, and the idea is to play against my queen. And in some lines, it even forces a sacrifice, and I'll see if I can show. So like e5, and like I'd probably take. Computer wants to take with the knight, but I thought this was reasonable. Keep in mind this pin is still here. Now instead of recapturing, computer wants knight c5. So again, this opens up the bishop to c8, and d7 for that matter. And it's hitting my queen right away. So what a cool move. And I just might be trapped here. Yeah, like this. Notice I really don't have anywhere to go now. Yeah, I'm completely trapped. So this forces a sacrifice. And after queen takes e8, 8, we can recapture the bishop. C takes d6, and now, yeah, just knight d2, and the position's equal. And yeah, before we had an advantage. So this is actually a good line for black. And yeah, I don't want to lose my queen if I can help it. So yeah, very fascinating. I did not see this from bishop h4, and for this reason, it wants the bishop on e3. I think guarding this square is the point. So once we recapture with the pawn, the bishop's guarding b5. So yeah, hard to see that if you're not a strong player, but very instructive that lines can lead to things like that. All right, so bishop h4 is played and queen e7. Yeah, queen e7. So I think my opponent's idea was to get the rook to come down and harass me this way, so probably not a bad idea. And now I played e5, so this stops him from playing e5. I'm attacking the pinned pawn. And the bishop. So yeah, so he cannot take back. So he has to move his bishop. And this is the line I saw, bishop b4. And here, I was feeling extra greedy. I took the pawn again. Yeah, so now I'm 2 pawns up, and I'm ready to escape. Now, this is a bit scary, but I saw that I did have this square. And I actually thought I had this square, but clearly I don't. So when my opponent played this, I almost had a heart attack. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting trapped? Oh no. But I actually am okay here. I thought about playing bishop b7, or queen b7 rather. But I found an interesting move here. The move e takes f6. Yeah, so this is a tempo move. So I did play a tempo move here. And he has to do something with his queen. So he recaptured. But now I have an escape. So queen g3 is strong, just lining right up with the king and pinning the bishop. I decided to go with queen f4, however. I just liked my mobility better from here. Plus I'm attacking the bishop still. And here he played h5, so defending the bishop. I played rook a to c1 because he was threatening to win a pawn here. bishop takes, pawn takes, rook takes would win a pawn. And now he took here anyway. I don't agree with this move. I don't see any reason to give up his bishop pair. And I'm not sure what taking here does for him. So yeah, I don't know what this does. All right, so he took, pawn takes. Oh, maybe this is his idea. He just wanted to get knight d5 in. Okay, fine. I did see he could play this, but I was considering queen h6. I don't know if that's any good. Maybe not, because the queen could just swing over. Oh, not only that, but he is attacking this pawn too, isn't he? So, all right. I must have spotted that during the game, because I went with the move queen d2, which turns out is the best move. It felt like a retreat, but I love everything my queen's doing right here. It's defending the bishop, it's defending this weak pawn, it's defending this pawn if I decide to push, because you could have this exchange. So just a great defensive move. He played queen g7. And now I struck with c4. So notice that by taking with the pawn, I now have a passed c pawn, which is really nice. And it's attacking with tempo, or it's pushing with tempo, which is also nice. And now the move queen e3. So I'm hitting this pawn. The bishop is eyeing it for the moment. And I'm also redefending this so that when I push, if I keep pushing, this remains defended. The knight is defended, but like I said, I'd have to recapture with the bishop. All right, and my opponent here plays what is the best move, but I'm kind of surprised it is. So it's the move knight f5. All right, so this is attacking the bishop and the queen, but it also unfortunately interrupts the communication with this pawn. So I do grab this pawn. Computer actually does not like this move at all. And it says after king h8 that white's advantage is minuscule compared to what it was before. It was like plus 2.5 or something like that, and now it's only plus 0.7. And I guess it's because of discoveries on the queen. So like it wants knight g5. Does that make any sense? g5 right here. Oh, it's white's turn. I'm sorry. It wants white to play knight g5. Yeah, interesting move. Very interesting. Whoa. So now discovery on the queen. And what's the point here? It says take here first. Bishop takes g4. Queen takes g5. Now just move the bishop. Yeah, very interesting. Okay. So unfortunately for my opponent, he did not choose queen or king h7. He chose, or king h8. He chose king h7. And here white's doing well. So I have my choice of moves, and I did find the best continuation here, which is the move bishop d3. So not only does it pin the knight, but it attacks it a second time. So black pretty much has to defend this. If he moves his queen, I take the knight with check. So I think the only move... Wow, computer wants to play king h8 and just give up the knight. So it must already be lost. King g6. And now I actually played a cool move. It's not the best, but I liked it. d5. This is a clearance. I want to get my knight in. He took here, but now that's a total blunder because he just undefended the knight. So I can take with check. This does hit the bishop as well. So after king h6, I can take here. And it's not looking good for the black team. So knight e5, one last shot, I guess, to try and attack my queen and bishop. But now I just play here. And this is almost checkmate. The king has no escape here, so the only real move is king g5. In fact, it's the only legal move. So this just loses the queen. So okay, I thought that was a pretty exciting game. I'm just going to go over the highlights of the game because I like to ask the question, what can we learn from a game like this? So first thing is this move order in the opening. Knight f3 is correct here to avoid the ideas with e5, saddling white with an isolated pawn. Okay, and bishop f5 is the first move that we saw out of book. And we get to see that maybe the reason why is this early e4 as well as play against the b pawn. Okay, and yeah, so definitely need to evaluate this situation. I went for it. Okay, and I like this e4. This is a desirable move for white, and it came with tempo, so this actually worked out nice. This bishop g5 move also worked out nice because we're trying to provoke this weakness, which I think worked out for us. The king became a little weak. Okay. Yeah, this bishop h4 move. So very interesting to me that I'm in danger of being trapped here. I think that's the lesson here. I need to get my queen out faster, or at least keep an eye on these ideas. Had I seen that I could get trapped and that this b5 square was critical, I would have played bishop e3. Now, that feels a little over my head, but okay, I want to learn stuff that's over my head. So, yeah, this move too. So when your opponent plays queen e7, which it doesn't look like it improves the queen, you have to watch for this idea. I didn't necessarily see this either during the game, so that's something I want to keep in mind, is that black was connecting their rooks looking to trap me. Okay, but luckily I had this e5 move. And I was greedy, but this actually, maybe I was lucky I had this resource though. So I need to watch, make sure my queen doesn't get trapped in the future. That's a big lesson for me. Okay, and I like this part of the game. Queen d2. Love this move. I wasn't sure, I didn't think the computer would like it when I played it, but I felt great about it. It just holds everything together. Playing with tempo some more. Yeah, and this. I'm really glad I spotted this. Oh yeah, even though it doesn't really work due to king h8. At this point though, my clock was getting low. It's only a 15-minute game, so I'm not too upset that there's some crazy continuations here. Okay, and bishop g3 was a nice find. And okay, we had a nice nice finish here. So it's nice to share a game where I played all right. Sometimes I share games where I get crushed. I'm capable of both, I guess. Maybe one more than the other. But thanks for watching my video, and please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.